Welcome back. So now we are going to look at the first concept of our lesson, which is the different shapes and sizes of cells. We have looked at the basic difference between a plant and an animal cell. However, not all plants cells and not all animal cells are the same. Cells come in different shapes and sizes. Each cell type has its own role to play in helping our bodies to work properly. For example, we have nerve cells and muscle cells. So even though they are found in your body, they play different roles. As a result, they have different shapes and different sizes. So look at the photo of the rows alongside just here. Do you think that the cells in the roots, the stems, the leaves, and the petals of these rows look the same? So now here is our rose. As you can see, the petals are red, the stem and the leaves are green. So that already tells us that the cells that make up the stems and the cells that make up the petals are different. So now what our note says here is that the cells in the different parts of the rose all have to perform very specific functions and therefore have different sizes and shapes, just like we have explained. So now we are going to look at a micrograph of the rose. So what you are looking at here, this first one, this is the rose petals. They are red due to the pigment in the vacuoles of the petal cells, which are round. So as you can see, this red part here is the red pigment, and we find this red inside of the vacuole of the cell, and it is round or circular in shape. So this is still in the rose, and it's on the top part, which is the petals. Now let us look at the second one. The second one here says cells in the leaves are full of chloroplasts for photosynthesis. They are long and rectangular in shape. As you can see from the picture, we have a lot of small green dots. If you can see here, these are your chloroplasts, and the chloroplasts are responsible for photosynthesis so that the cell is able to make its own food. Now if you look at the cell, it's much more rectangular compared to the circular one on the rose petals. So as you can see, they are both in the same rose, but they are different in shape, they are different in size, because they have to perform different functions. So that is what we mean when we say cells occupy different functions, and because of that, they have to have different shapes and sizes. So we are going to move on to the next part, which is specialization of cells, tissues, organs, and systems. So your body contains a great number of specialized cells. When we say specialized, we mean that the cells are designed to perform different functions. So they have differences in their structures, which allows them to perform different functions. We say they are differentiated. So because they are different in the way they look and they are different in the functions that they perform, then we say that these cells are differentiated. Some of the differences are summarized in the following table, but before we go into the table, I just want us to look at the picture alongside. So as you can see here, we have nerve cells, we have intestinal cells, we have red blood cells, we have white blood cells, we have bone marrow. As you can see, all of these cells, they are different in shape, they are different in size. This is purely because they all have to fulfill a different role in order for your body to function. So let us move on to the table. So as you can see, this table has 3 columns. The first one, we have the name of the cells. The next one, we have the structures, and the last column is for the function. So the first one that we come across is epithelial cells. So epithelial cells are mostly flat. As you can see on this picture, they are almost rectangular. They are in a straight line because they are flat. So what is their function? They cover the surface of your body for protection. So that is what epithelial cells are responsible for. We normally find them on the surface of organs and also your body because they need to cover it for protection. Then the second type of cells that we come across is muscle cells. So muscle cells are sometimes long and spindle shaped. So as you can see, this is how they look like. And then what are they responsible for? So muscle cells are responsible for the contractions, or to contract and relax, to allow the movement within your body. So in order for your body to be able to move, for you to bend and run and sit down and stand up, you need to be flexible. So that flexibility is allowed by the contraction and relaxation of our muscle cells. Now we are going to move on to nerve cells. Nerve cells are very long and they have branches at the ends. As you can see from the picture, it is long, and right at the ends here we have branches. So now what are they responsible for? Nerve cells are specialized to carry messages. That's all they do. They carry messages that coordinate the functioning of the body. So the job of these nerve cells is to receive messages from the environment, carry it to the nervous system, and bring back reaction. That is all they do. They carry messages. Now, the last type of cells that we come across is the red blood cells. So the red blood cells are round and biconcave. So when we say round, obviously we are referring to the circular shape, and this inside here, I don't know if you can see it, but it looks like there is a shape that is going in, or a hole, but not really a hole. So that is what we mean by biconcave. So these red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. So that is what they are doing. They're making sure we have enough oxygen, enough carbon dioxide in our body. So these are the cells. Like we had explained, when we say specialized, that means cells are designed to perform certain functions. So you can't find an epithelial cell performing the duty of a muscle cell. We cannot find that, because they are specialized to stay in their post and do what they are supposed to do. So we are going to move on to our tissues, organs, and systems. So here we are going to speak about how cells give rise to tissues, organs, and systems. So specialized cells that perform a specific function group together to form tissues. So tissues come from cells that have been grouped together. For example, we have muscle cells that will group together to form muscle tissue. So epithelial cells will group together to form epithelial tissue. And nerve cells will group together to form brain or nerve tissues. So basically what we are trying to say is that when cells are grouped together, they form tissues. So groups of tissues that work together now form what? Organs. So now that the cells have formed the tissues, when these tissues are grouped together, they form organs. For example, think of the stomach. It is made up of different specialized cells, which are your muscle cells, to make it contract, and epithelial tissue, which lines up the inside of the stomach. So the muscle tissue and the epithelial tissue come together to form the organ, which is the stomach. So now organs are formed from tissues that have been grouped together. And lastly, organs, when they are grouped together, they form what we call a body system. So these are different types of organs performing different functions. Now when they are grouped together, they form a system. And this system in the body is what make up an organism, which is an animal or a human being. So we are going to leave it here for now, and I'll see you after the break.